not very often that we see this, but the two teams that played in the national championship could both see a major drop-off in 2024. Earlier this month, we all saw Michigan defeat Washington in the national championship game. Those two teams going a combined 29-1 in the 2023 season. Michigan, a perfect 15-0 undefeated. Washington, that lone loss coming in the national championship game. But now, entering 2024, don't expect both of these teams, or maybe either of these teams, to get back to the national championship game. Maybe not even get back to the college football playoff, despite it expanding to 12 teams. Both teams are dealing with a lot of changes, and a drop-off kind of seems inevitable. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. We're so glad you could join us today, ready to break down the Wolverines and the Huskies, looking at a season that, was great in 2023, might not be as exciting in 2024. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, and tons of exclusive content over there to help you get through this offseason. And certainly will be the case right here as we are producing football content year-round. The college football season never ends or dies here at the Gridiron Expert. So if you're looking for your football fix, this is the place for you. Year-round, 24/7, 365. So it's kind of an unprecedented deal, right? Obviously when a team goes on to win the national championship, when they make the college football playoff, you're expecting a lot of players to leave NFL draft, transfer portal, things like that. But it's not very often you see both teams play in the national championship lose their head coaches within weeks of each other. Kalen DeBoer, the week of the national championship, lost it on Monday. Later on that Friday, left Washington to take the head coaching job at Alabama to follow in the footsteps of Nick Saban to fill in those shoes. The Huskies quickly replaced him with Jedd Fisch from Arizona, a move that surprised a lot of people considering the high expectations that Arizona has going into 2024. So Washington loses their star coach, was only there for 2 years, gets into a national title, leaves for maybe greener pastures, maybe not, in Tuscaloosa. Look at Michigan. Jim Harbaugh has been at Michigan for a very, very long time. What was it? Nearly 10 years. And finally got over the hump, finally did everything he thought he could at Michigan, which was to finally deliver a national championship to Ann Arbor, their first since 1997. So Harbaugh wins the game, later leaves on for the NFL, returning to the NFL where he will be the head coach of the LA Chargers. Back out to California, used to be the head coach for the San Francisco 49ers. He was quickly replaced by Sherrone Moore, the offensive coordinator from Michigan, a move that really didn't surprise many of us. When Harbaugh was dealing with all his suspensions throughout the year, remember he missed 6 games in 2023, including those final 3 games of the regular season, Moore was the interim head coach. And Moore won the 2 biggest games of the regular season in replacement of Jim Harbaugh. He beat Penn State in Happy Valley and then led the Wolverines to their win over Ohio State. Michigan loses either one of those. They're not probably going to the college football playoff, and they're not going to be national champions. So he proved what he was able to do in those games, especially the final 3 of the regular season, was quickly promoted to head coach. But still, losing both head coaches, even promoting from within, is going to make things a little bit difficult. So you could look at both these teams and go, they both lost their coaches. Obviously, they're going to take a step back. But it goes a little bit deeper than that. You got to look at players, right? Start with Michigan. Start breaking down the rosters. Obviously, I think Michigan's decision to promote Sherrone Moore from offensive coordinator to head coach was a good choice. It was good to maintain that continuity. Bringing a guy in that's not going to drastically change the program, the culture, the schemes. And it's also a good move in the sense of the player relationships that Sherrone Moore has developed might prevent Michigan from seeing a bunch of their guys hit the transfer portal, transferring out, leaving for the pros, things like that. But the Wolverines still going to lose a lot of guys. They're losing J.J. McCarthy, their star quarterback. They're losing Blake Corum. They're losing their top receivers in Rowan Wilson, Cornelius Johnson. They're practically losing their entire offensive line. They're losing 3 up front on the defensive line. They're losing a handful in the back 7 as well, although the defense does look to remain relatively strong in 2024. A lot of talent still there. But this is a team, guys, that still is replacing the majority of their offense from this last year. They're going to have a brand new quarterback, the most important position on the field. And while Sherrone Moore maybe won't change the schemes too much, you could expect some scheme changes across the board in Ann Arbor. Michigan going to be dealing with a lot of changes from the top down that could lead to a bit of a step back in 2024. The same can certainly be said for Washington, one of the best offenses in the entire country. That was Kalen DeBoer's deal, right? He's an offensive mind, offensive juggernaut, and now they're losing that offensive mind, and they're losing all the players that helped him achieve that, right? Michael Penix is gone, Rome Odunze is gone, Jalen Polk's gone, Jalen McMillan's gone, Dylan Johnson's gone. So like Michigan, Washington losing practically the entire offense, almost all of their production offensively. They're losing one of their top cornerbacks in Jabbar Muhammad, and it hurts if you're a Washington fan because Muhammad leaving Washington not to go pro or anything, but to transfer to Oregon, to transfer to your bitter rival. Overall, there have been over 25 players from Washington that have either transferred out of the program, decided to go pro, have decommitted, big-time recruits decommitting. Washington's seeing a mass exodus out of Seattle. And the ironic thing is they're not all going with Kalen DeBoer to Alabama. They're all going to other schools. It really hurts to see this. Some of these guys have to go pro. They ran out of eligibility, and you saw that. Kalen DeBoer, when that national championship was over, he was like, we got all these 6-year players. You know, big-time veterans that have been in college forever. That's what helped us get to this point, what helped us get to the national championship game. And obviously we're going to lose all of them. All those 6-year guys are gone. They're not transferring. They're not staying. They have to go. Eligibility is gone. And so it was expected, even if DeBoer had stayed, that Washington was going to see a step back because they were going to lose so much production, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But now that you bring in a new head coach, now that you lose other guys that maybe you weren't expecting to lose because you lost Kalen DeBoer, it's very, very concerning for the Huskies and concerning for Jedd Fisch, how he's going to scramble together a competent roster to be able to contend at a high level in the Big Ten. Washington and Michigan going to be in the same conference now with each other. And that leads us to the third point. Another reason why both these teams could see a drop-off in 2024. You lose your coaches, you lose some big-time players on both sides of the ball, but the schedules for both, very, very difficult. More so, though, for Washington. First year in the Big Ten, and it's a rude awakening. They have to go to Rutgers. Rutgers, no slouch. Won 7 games this last year, and think about the road trip. Seattle to Piscataway, literally on opposite coasts, on opposite sides of the country. Going to be a very, very tough trip for the Huskies. They go to Rutgers. They do get to host Michigan on October 5th. The Wolverines will go to Seattle for a conference game in a national championship rematch on October 5th, although neither of these teams are going to look anything like they did earlier this month. They have to go to Iowa, Kinnick Stadium, one of the most difficult places to play in the country. They do get to host USC, but then they have to go to Penn State in Happy Valley, another long road trip, and they have to go to Oregon, which is absolutely loaded with talent and actually has a chance to maybe win the Big Ten in their first year in the conference. So a lot of very difficult road games for the Huskies. Michigan, they get their biggest games at home. They get to host Texas in week 2 in a game that could have been the national championship, nearly was the national championship, but Texas loaded with talent in 2024. Big-time week 2 matchup there. They get to host USC. They get to host Oregon, but they do have to travel to Washington, as we mentioned, and they do have to travel to Ohio State, which if you watch one of our previous videos, you see how loaded with talent Ohio State is. The Buckeyes going all out, not just to beat Michigan, but to recapture the Big Ten and maybe capture their first national title since 2014. Difficult road games there, and it's no guarantee that Michigan's going to win those biggest home games. Texas could easily come in and beat them. Oregon could absolutely do the same. So both these teams looking at very, very difficult schedules in the Big Ten. Both these teams looking at a very unlikely possibility that they both run the table and go undefeated like they did in 2023. I think it's inevitable that both these teams are going to lose at least one game, probably going to be more than that. And even though the playoff is expanding to 12 teams, 2 losses keeps you in contention depending on when you lose and who you lose to. More than that, and you're out. You're probably not getting in with 3 losses. And there's a chance that both teams could hit that in 2024. No doubt about it. Coaching changes, roster overhaul, difficult schedule. The 2 teams that met in the Natty are going to struggle in 2024. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Leave your comments below. Tell us about Washington. Tell us about Michigan. Leave your thoughts, and let's get ready for the college football season that will be here before you know it. But until then, guys, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below, including our website, thegridironexpert.com, to give you exclusive content year-round there, just like we'll do here on the channel, because here at the Gridiron Expert, college football never dies. The season never ends. So make sure to subscribe, hit that notification button. Do not miss out on any future content that we have for you. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.